Good morning, Read 180 students. Today is Friday, November 20th. If you're watching today's recording, just a reminder that if you did not Zoom with us and you were able to, you do need to make sure that you join with that Read 180 Zoom link that I sent you. You can also find the link in the Schoology page way at the bottom. You just have to click that on. Remember, that is how I am doing attendance for this class. Now, if for some reason you are unable to attend, please make sure that you let the office know why. If you are ill or out of town, make sure an adult in your family calls the main office, either Molly or Karen. Now, if you can look at today's agenda, we're actually going to be doing, we did the do now in class. We're going to skip that for this recording. But if you look at the materials, you're going to need your charged iPad, a pencil, your Read 180 binder, and your real book. Your agenda for today is, again, same routine as we've been practicing. The first period of the class, I would suggest doing your daily check-in. You'll find that in Schoology. Complete your bell work. We're on week 8, day 5. And remember, you're taking a single picture of each page and attaching it to the assignment in Schoology that you will find in the bell work folder. Today's lesson is lesson 15, and we will be going over pages 216, 217 in the real book. And then after we complete that and you get your assignment submitted, you know that the next part of the class will be, you will do 20 minutes of software. And again, I'll be tallying up at the end of this week. You should have 100 minutes logged if you are keeping up with your 5 sessions at 20 minutes per session. That is how I am doing software participation grades. The independent reading, find a cozy place to go sit and read and relax and enjoy the 20 minutes of reading. And once you complete your reading log entry for Friday, again, take a picture of that, submit it in Schoology. You'll find the assignment in the folder that is called Reading Log. All right, a reminder. On Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, those are the days that we will be Zooming as a large group. This is when we'll be presenting the information, going through the lesson, getting the direct instruction. Wednesdays are a day that I will push an assignment out because we will not meet as a large group. That is the flex day. All right, so what I'd like you to do now, make sure you have page 216 and 217 open in your real book. Today's learning target is using clues in the text to figure out the meaning of words and phrases. So we'll move on to our next slide here. And you'll notice it's lesson 15, pages 216, 217. Now, before we continue reading our story, we do want to go through and look at the 2 new vocabulary words. So if you look at the first slide, and again, you'll be filling in the definitions and completing the sentence starters as for each of these words as we go through them. All right, so our first word is remain. So like you've probably heard the teachers say, we will all remain in class until the bell rings. That means you're going to stay in the same place as before. And you'll notice the blue word is what you will write in that definition. And so again, if I were to say we will all remain in class until the bell rings, that means we will all stay in the classroom until the bell rings and you are dismissed to leave. Now my examples start with a base verb phrase because after to, I need a base verb. You might also tell about an after-school activity you're involved in, that you're remaining in, okay? All right, your example is the question you're going to answer is, why do you remain in school after classes for the end of the day? Sometimes I remain in school after classes end when I want to do what? And I tried to throw some pictures in there that could give you some hints. Maybe you're part of the speech team, so you stay after school to have speech practice. Or maybe you participate in sports. Sometimes students would stay after school to take AR tests. or to work on the computers in the computer lab. So sometimes I remain in school after classes and when I want to do what? Go ahead and finish that example. Your next word is claim. And I might say, I claim to be the best singer in the school, but others might disagree. If you've heard me sing, you probably would agree with that. So to claim means to state that something is true, even though other people might believe something else. So go ahead and fill in that definition. To state that something is true, even though other people might believe something else. So you're making a claim. You are claiming something to be true. So I want you to go ahead and finish that example. I claim that I am stronger than who? So I kind of gave a couple of bodybuilding or strength pictures. Now, a claim can also be like, I claim that Sandra Bullock is the best actress. She's one of my favorites, but you might not agree with that. You might not know who she is even, but I think she's a pretty good actress. You might think somebody else would be a better actress than her. That would be your claim to be true. Okay. Now, if you look at today's goals, we are going to use word strategies to explore the meaning of an unfamiliar phrase. We will use surrounding text as a clue to help us think deeply about that meaning of that unfamiliar phrase. All right, so before we continue reading, I do want you to look at the key idea question, because you're going to be answering that once we finish our reading. And that key idea question is to list 3 major events that occur in this part of the text. So we're going to be finding text evidence on pages 216 and 217. All right, and again, be prepared to answer that question. Witnesses have identified John Wilkes Booth as the shooter of President Lincoln, and soldiers are on the lookout for him. Where will Booth go? And we're going to keep reading to find that out. And again, as we go through, I want you to, and you can mark this in your book, you can put a check mark by it, a star, something to indicate that the 3 major events that occur in this part of the text. So we're going to read through pages 216 and 217 through all the way through, and then we will come back and work on those questions. All right, so make sure you have your book ready and we'll start reading. All right, top of page 216, Surratt Tavern, Maryland, April 15th, 216. Booth and his accomplice, David Harold, stopped to pick up 2 rifles at Surratt Tavern. And remember, an accomplice is somebody who helps another person, maybe do kind of a criminal act. The owner, Mary Surratt, is a Confederate sympathizer. Surratt later says she knew nothing of Booth's plans, but tavern keeper John Lloyd says Surratt told him to have those shooting irons ready for Booth. Mudd Farm. Booth had broken his leg fleeing the theater. He and Harold go to the home of Dr. Samuel Mudd. Mudd, a Confederate supporter, owned slaves until Lincoln emancipated or freed them. Mudd treats Booth's leg. He invites the fugitives to spend the night. The next day, Mudd goes into town. He learns that Lincoln has died. Now Mudd is Booth's accomplice. Booth and Harold then go to the home of another Confederate supporter, Samuel Cox. Cox leads the men to a hiding place in the woods near the Potomac River. He vows to help them escape to Virginia. To him, Booth and Harold are heroes. Cox enlists the aid of Confederate secret agent Thomas Jones. April 17th. Near Zakiwa Swamp, Maryland. Jones wants to help the fugitives, but Union cavalry are nearby. Booth and Harold must remain in hiding. If Jones turns Booth and Harold in, he will collect a $75,000 reward. But he has sworn to support the Confederacy. No, indeed, he later recalls, my word cannot be bought for 100 times that amount. April 20th. Mudd Farm. When Union soldiers first questioned Dr. Mudd, he claimed not to know the men who visited his farm on April 15th. 3 days later, soldiers questioned Mudd again. He admits that one of the men was Booth. Okay, you should be on page 217 now at the top. April 24th to the 25th. Port Conway, Virginia. After rowing the wrong way across the Potomac River, the fugitives end up back in Maryland at a farm where Colonel Hughes lived. After reaching Port Conway, Virginia, they travel across the Rappahannock River. Meanwhile, the fugitives see 3 Confederate soldiers, Willie Jett, Absalom Bainbridge, and Mortimer Ruggles. They ask the soldiers for help. Harold identifies Booth as the man who killed the president. To the soldiers, Booth is a hero. The soldiers take Booth and Harold to Richard Garrett's farm. They say Booth is a wounded Confederate soldier. Garrett agrees to let the men stay at his farm for a day or 2. On April 25th, Union soldiers learned that a man with a broken leg had crossed the river the day before with 3 Confederate soldiers, and that Willie Jett was probably headed for the Star Hotel. Soldiers capture Jett at the hotel. Scared, Jett leads the soldiers to Garrett's farm. April 26th, Garrett Farm. The cavalry arrives at the farm. The final showdown has begun. The Garretts have locked Booth and Harold in a tobacco barn. Harold surrenders, but Booth refuses to be taken alive. The troops set the barn on fire. With his gun in hand, Booth approaches the door. Sergeant Boston Corbett watches Booth through a crack in the barn wall. He aims his rifle and fires, striking Booth in the neck. The wound is fatal. The 12-day-long manhunt is over. All right, so what I'm going to have you do next is we're going to look at what you're going to be working on here now for your assignment. And again, don't forget to answer the key idea question after we got done reading the first time if you didn't do that. Now we're going to have you, in order to do the word strategies, you're going to have to reread the entry for April 17th. In Jones's statement, his quote is, "My word cannot be bought for 100 times that amount." What does his word mean? And how could someone buy his word? All right, so you're going to go back, underline the text detail that helps you understand what he means. So you're going to go back to page 216 and reread April 17th entry. Now the last thing you're going to do is the stretch question. But if you don't do the first question yet, the directions say to complete these statements to help you answer the stretch question. So you're going to do the bottom part first, and then you will move to the top portion. So after, and again, if you have to have this read a second time, just rewind this recording and listen to it again. But the question that you're going to, or the statement you're going to finish is, Jones supports what? So fill that in. And Jones will not collect the reward because he believes what? So once you fill in those 2 pieces of information, you'll be able to answer the question. When Jones says his word could not be bought for 100 times that amount, what does this tell you about his beliefs? Again, you're going to take, once you get done with that, please take a picture of lesson 15 and submit it into your assignment in Schoology. And the last thing we're going to look at, again, you can freeze this if you need to write down what you're expected to do. So the reminder of your tasks for today. And then again, if you are missing any work, you need to get this turned in. Be watching your student view email account, or be watching your email account. Your parents will also receive a notification from me as to what's missing. All right, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and have a great day and a great weekend. See you Monday.